Hi, my name is Astrid Turner, and I presented a session for the 2022 Outschool Ed-Venture Virtual Conference. It was epic. It was so much fun, but I wanted to make a separate video so that I could upload it to my YouTube channel and make it a little easier to share. So here we go. I'm going to share my presentation. We talked all about flex classes in my workshop, and there was an open Q&A, but I kind of ran out of time and it cut me off. So if you have questions for me, feel free to put them in the comments here on YouTube, and then I'll also be sharing some of my contact information as well. All right, so what we're going to talk about today is designing and encouraging asynchronous interaction. So if you're interested in designing a flex class, we are going to talk all about designing that flex class, all of the technical aspects, video editing, how to post your video, design activities for them. We're also going to discuss how to handle quiet classrooms and how to make your classroom accessible and user-friendly for students of diverse needs. Then finally, we're going to cover advertising and marketing. So what should you price your classes at, and how can you make sure that you still get enrollments for this? We want to make sure that we have enrollments in all of our classes. Now, flex classes are a little different marketing-wise than live classes, so we'll talk about that. All right, so first off, designing a flex class that encourages asynchronous interaction. First, is important to know what are flex classes. It's really important to distinguish flex classes from self-paced courses. So for example, Udemy, Skillshare, Masterclass, these are websites where you pay for the class or the course. And then as soon as you pay for the subscription or pay for the course, you have access to all of the materials. You can watch them on your own time frame, and that's it. You own the materials now. With a flex class on Outschool, we really wanted these to be different. We wanted the flex classes to be scheduled. So flex classes are a minimum of 4 weeks in length, and we usually space those lessons out, right? So week number 1, we have this lesson. Week number 2, we're going to do this. Week number 3, we have that, and week number 4, and so on. So that means that they're not just dumped this information or these materials. They only have access to that 1 week at a time, and throughout the week, it gives them the opportunity and the time to do extra activities, maybe do extra research, ask you questions. And if they're struggling with something, they get that live help with you. And when I mean live, it's not in Zoom, but through the classroom page or emails and things like that. So really, we want to think about that as we're designing our flex classes. Make sure that we are not thinking of them as self-paced courses, but rather as asynchronous courses that follow a schedule and an outline. So when we're designing a flex class, first things first, we want to consider our target audience. The way that I design a flex class for a younger age group versus my teens is definitely different. So we're going to consider age range and skill level. So first off, if you're interested in designing a flex class for those 3 to 9-year-olds, even 8 and 9, they're starting to get old enough to really check in the classroom maybe by themselves, but they're still young enough to where maybe the parent is the one who's leading their flex class engagement and interaction. So with all of these age ranges, I try to keep my video tutorials shorter. Similar to what I would do in a live class. With my 3 to 6-year-olds, my classes are usually no longer than 30 minutes or 35 minutes at the most. And especially for those little ones, maybe even 25 minutes. So it's totally up to you, but with the video tutorials, maybe you can even shorten it to 15 minutes for part 1, and then another 15 minutes, or 5 minutes at a time, maybe in increments, and kind of space it out throughout the week if you want to, part 1, part 2, and part 3. So that way it makes it a little easier for them to sit through the video. Try to choose fun, age-appropriate activities such as crafts or games. This is going to be really helpful because a lot of families are looking for tangible materials like worksheets or coloring pages. In my live classes, I do this as well because a lot of times after the class, the parent is excited to maybe share on Instagram what their kid made today. And I do have like a few homeschooling friends that like to have a separate channel for their homeschooling journey. Maybe they have a separate account on Instagram, and they post all the pictures of what their kid is doing, what they're learning. So having that tangible item is a real benefit, especially for these younger age ranges. And it keeps their hands busy. It keeps them more focused on the lesson. This is definitely optional, but it can be a really an added bonus when someone is reading your description and they notice they're going to have access to these printable materials. When you are providing feedback in the classroom, I like to try to make a video in addition to the written feedback, or instead of, especially for my little ones, 3 to 4, the 4 to 5-year-olds, they're not reading independently yet, maybe. So I like to make a video to respond to them. So for example, the parent is the one who's typing out the responses, right? Thanks for the lesson this week. Here is a picture of the craft that we made. We really love the lesson. Thanks again. Right, so now I read that message and I want to respond to that. So I tag them and I make a video. Oh, thanks, Michael. You did such a great job. I love that you picked the color orange. I remember you said that that was your favorite color. Well, thanks for sharing. I can't wait to see what you make next week. Bye. So I make a quick little video. It could be like, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. And that way they can watch the video and not just have their parent read or guardian read the response to them. All right, now, of course, designing a flex class for those 10 and up learners, I go ahead and create that full length video tutorial. Again, same as what I do for my live classes. So they're full length video tutorials, maybe 45 minutes, even an hour, or even up to 90 minutes per week. I do like to break these up, especially for those longer projects. My sewing course is kind of intense sometimes as we start getting into those more advanced projects. You can expect to spend a couple of hours at least on these projects. And so I like to divide the lesson up into like part 1, part 2, and part 3, or something like that. Discussion prompts. We're going to talk a little bit more about how to engage your classroom, but try to make it irresistible. And we'll discuss that in a little bit. But take advantage of the fact that a lot of these kids like to be chatting online, and it's a safe environment. It's in a classroom, and they're just looking for opportunities to do that. So let's give it to them. Assignments and homework. A lot of times we have that video, and then we have something that we want them to do at the end of the video. That's what I like to do with my flex classes, and a lot of teachers do this as well. And this is something they're going to complete independently. Now, it doesn't have to be a worksheet or a test. For example, I have the Shakespeare class, and the assignment is to create an alternate ending to the play. So what would you change about this story if you went for Romeo and Juliet? But if you don't want to write out the ending, you could just like write out a little blurb of what you would change. But if you want to do something else, you could create a video, maybe acting it out with your Lego figures or something like that. So I did have a student who did that with her teddy bears. She acted out, how she would change the scene and what, alternate endings she came up with, things that she would change about it. Another learner did a full-length production, like it was like, I think a 7-minute video where she acted out the roles that she would change, and some things that she was explaining. It was really amazing. So I love that she had the opportunity to do that. And if I hadn't given her that prompt, she probably wouldn't have. Try to respond quickly. I know it can be hard to just, keep up with all these notifications, but I do try to respond to my students within 24 hours or 1 business day. If there's holidays and weekends and things, that's okay too. But a lot of my students are taking flex classes because they're international time zones and they can't seem to, align with my schedule. So I do try to just go ahead and respond to them, within that 24-hour time period. And I see that too, sometimes kids are not checking, they're not online all the time, or like, especially like ages 10 to 12, they may not have like their own phone, right? So they're not getting notifications when you write back to them. So I try to do it really quickly, because if I just saw that message, then that means they're online right now. So if I respond really quickly, let's like respond to that email. Oh, great job, Alicia. You did such a great job with your project, blah, blah, blah. What did you like best about that? Or what made you choose that one instead? Well, if I do that right away, then there's a good chance they're going to see it. They're still online, and we can have a little bit of back and forth. So I do try to do that as much as possible. Obviously, it's not always possible, but it definitely makes a difference when the kid feels like you're actually there. All right, we're going to talk about the tech stuff, recording your videos. One tip is to not use the Outschool Classroom to record your video. If you use that Start Live Meeting button, well, now that recording is only good for that section. So that means that you can't share it outside of this section, and you'll have to re-record it again for your next section. So you don't want that to happen. I like to record my videos in Zoom. So I open up a blank Zoom meeting, and that way I can share my slideshow. I also like to use Nearpod. Nearpod is one of my favorite tools for flex classes. You can create a self-paced lesson, and it's a very interactive slideshow where you can also embed your own videos. So you can record your videos in Zoom, or maybe use a Screencastify. You can use your phone to create your videos, and then maybe upload that video to YouTube as an unlisted video. And then once it's on YouTube, you'll be able to copy and paste the link into your classroom. So a couple of things that I do for video editing, I try not to stress out about too much of the editing. You don't have to edit it so much that you're stressed out about, missing an or an totally fine. The kids are not really going to be that distracted unless it's very excessive, then you might, choose to do that. But try to be natural. Think about how you teach your live classes. And try not to stress over every little mistake that you make. Obviously, if you have like a coughing attack during your recording, you probably want to edit that out. But in general, it's okay for you to just go with your natural flow. Consider adding on-screen vocabulary words, highlighted points, or captions. Now, YouTube does put captions on your video, but sometimes those captions are not that accurate. So if you like to, you can, kind of customize those, and that might be really helpful if you're teaching, for example, a foreign language. Now, an example that came up with us, me and my kids, we signed up for this flex class. Both of my kids took this together, and so we were watching the videos together. And I noticed the teacher kind of went through the materials really quickly, which in itself is not a big deal because we can pause it, right? But the problem is that we couldn't really catch like some of the names of the places and the people that she was talking about. And she was like spouting off dates and names and places and things like that, like kind of really fast. And yes, again, we can pause and rewind it, but we found that we had to rewind it like 6 times. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. And the video itself was pretty short, so it was kind of hard to like slide the bar over that many times. And I realized, it really would have been helpful if the words were on the screen. Then we could pause it and then see the word there. A big reason for that too was that later on she had an assignment for them to complete a worksheet. And the worksheet was really cool and really fun, but they couldn't figure out how to spell this person's name. And again, they had to go back and like rewind it a couple of times. So it is really helpful sometimes to just go ahead and highlight certain things that you want them to visualize and see, especially names and, highlighted points. So film an introduction for each week. I like to do this with my flex classes, have them see my face every week. Sometimes with my painting classes, they're only seeing my hands. So I just go ahead and at the beginning, I'm like, hi, it's me again. This week we're going to do this. Next, we're going to do that. And at the end, I have an assignment for you. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, but give them a little bit of a teaser, right? But let's go ahead and get into our painting. So then we fade to my hands, right? So that makes it a little more natural every week. You can use graphics and animations, but you don't have to overdo it. Don't have to stress out about this. And again, consider your audience. So for my younger students, I like to put in little cartoons and GIFs and animations. But for my older students, I keep it really simple. Now, these are some of my favorite video editing tools. I like to use Shotcut, Canva, UCut, and iMovie is one for Apple if you have like an iPad. Shotcut is a PC version or PC desktop software. So it's really great. It's professional level video editing. However, I will say there's a little bit of a learning curve. It's not as user friendly. The good news is that there are tons of YouTube videos and tutorials on how to use Shotcut. So if you're looking for help, you can Google it and you can definitely find help. But very user friendly apps are Canva and UCut. UCut I like to use on my phone when I'm editing like really small class listing videos, really short, and they have transitions, they have animations, they've got royalty-free music. Same with Canva. If you upgrade to Pro, you have access to a lot of these resources too. So we talked a little bit about YouTube and using YouTube. Just a couple of things when you're updating or uploading your videos to YouTube. Make sure that you click the option to allow embedding. So that's going to be really important because if you don't click on this option, then in the classroom, the link will not work. So Outschool's third-party app policy requires you to disclose that you'll be using YouTube. And then when you post an unlisted video, which is basically a private, not private video, but an unlisted video, then that means that anyone with a link can open it. But on the Outschool page, it opens in a pop-up window. And that way it's not taking them to YouTube itself. And that's really important because some families have YouTube, the website itself is blocked on their kids' computers. If that's the case, they'll still be able to watch it here as long as it is allowed to be embedded. Another thing to check on is, yes, it is made for kids. Make sure to do that, and that will limit the ads that are being played in your video. I had feedback from a family that booked the Flex class, and they were not happy that the video had ads playing it. Well, I didn't know that my video was playing ads. It's an unlisted video, and I didn't realize that YouTube was putting ads in there. So I went back in the settings, and it turned out, since this was an older video, way back in 2018, it had defaulted to no. And so I changed it to yes, and I haven't had that problem since. Avoid copyrighted music and any international restrictions, usually having to do with using music in the background. So make sure you're choosing royalty-free music, and that way it won't get flagged for copyright infringement. All right, so here's the question. Why add interaction? We're going to talk a little bit about how you can, encourage your students to interact with the classroom. But why should we do this? Because I've had a lot of feedback over the years from teachers. Are parents actually looking for these extra activities? To be honest, sometimes I post these activities and resources in the classroom, and all I get are crickets, right? They are not even responding to any of these games or activities. So are they actually really expecting a self-paced course? They just pay the money for these videos and they want them, and then that's it? Well, check out a couple of my favorite reviews that I've received over the years. This particular class is one for ages 4 to 7, and we use Nearpod, and I have a craft at the end. So we have this family that mentioned this class was very well organized with a variety of tasks to do each week, which was to watch the Little Einstein show independently, do the Nearpod lesson, which was so fun, and then do the craft alongside the teacher's instructional video, which was extremely clear. So that sounds really good. So my 6-year-old loved every single week's lesson and craft. He also loved posting his crafts to the classroom page and seeing how the other kids' crafts came out. So, of course, you can't always control how many people enroll in your class, but it is a lot of fun when you have like 4 or 5 kids or 6 kids in there, and all of them are posting at once. They're only going to do that if you lead them to do that. Another one here, this is very interactive lesson videos, which my 7-year-old enjoyed. The content's appropriate for 4 to 7, but the activities were on the older end, so it was great. The younger ones might need parent help, which I like to explain in the videos and in class listening. I particularly love Astrid's excellent class communication and posts and replies to kids' comments. So they are paying attention, they are listening, and they are paying more for that as well. So some sample interaction prompts. We've got icebreakers, scavenger hunt. Let's talk about these. Icebreakers, I use these in my live classes, right? So at the beginning of class, sometimes they're a little quiet. Nobody wants to go first. Sometimes that happens. So I'll ask a question. We're talking about Japan today. When you think of Japan, what do you think of? What's the first thing that comes in your head? Thinking about it, and then I said, go ahead and put it in the chat, right? So they put it in the chat. Oh, that's sushi. Okay, that's cool. Do you like eating sushi? Oh, no? Okay. So now we're talking a little bit. You don't have to put anybody on the spot, right? And that's in a live class. But in the Flex version, we can do the same thing. What's your favorite color? What are you hoping to do in this class or whatever? One of the things that I do in my Flex Kids Sew course, it's a sewing course, and one of the things I share midweek is, if you're kind of getting in a slump and you're thinking, sewing is hard, sometimes that happens, don't feel bad. But what I like to do is do you ever notice that you have like a secret compartment in your sewing machine? Well, did you know that this is the perfect size for a bag of M&Ms? You can dump the bag of M&Ms in there, and then you can reward yourself when you're done with that part of the sewing. You could just open it up, pop in there, and what kind of candy would you put in there? So I like M&Ms. What about you? So I have some kids will come in and they'll say, "Oh, I like Skittles. What a good idea!" And another kid is like, "I'm going to put Starburst in mine." And then another kid is like, "Ooh, I like Starburst too, but I only like the pink and the red ones." And then another kid, "Oh, I like the yellow ones the best." Yellow, you like yellow? So now they're talking to each other. So icebreakers can be great. A scavenger hunt, number two. This one is really great for those older learners. For example, in my Poetry Flex class, I get to choose the poem, right? I get to choose the poem that we're going to do this week. We're going to do this poem by Pablo Neruda. But your assignment, your scavenger hunt is, can you find another poem by Pablo Neruda that you like? So go ahead and use poets.org as one of the resources that we use, or get permission to do an internet search if you like, especially if they're in Spanish. So if you need help with that. But go ahead and find another poem by Pablo Neruda and share it here in the classroom. I love this activity. I have had the most amazing conversations with my learners because, like I said, I get to choose the poem that we're doing for the assignment. But when they get to choose the poem, it really gives me an insight on what they like. There's been times where they felt so inspired that they actually liked their poem that they chose better, and they painted that one instead, or in addition to the one that we're painting together in the class. And I love that. That really shows me my learners are feeling empowered. They have this sense of ownership over this information. Number three, video prompts. This one worked really well for my student, for my kid. He took a flex class with Miss Tammy. It was a Pokemon writing class. And what she did one week was she took a video of herself opening a blind bag of Pokemon trading cards. Now, that got everybody's attention. They were like, "What?" So my son watched the video and he's like, "That was super fun. Can we go to the store and get a blind bag and I can do that too?" And sure enough, 2 or 3 other kids in the class made a video of them opening a blind bag and showing the cards that they got. So that was a great way to just kind of get the kids involved in the classroom and help them to see, yes, you can make videos. You're allowed to. I welcome that, right? So sometimes they're a little hesitant, like nobody else is doing this. This is kind of weird. But if you are the one leading them to do that, that can be a great window of opportunity that's just wide open. Number 4 is trivia and maybe a Q&A. Depending on what you're teaching, you might want to open it up to a Q&A, but trivia is really fun. Did you know such and such? Or can you find the answer to this question? So just a random thing. Or ask me a question. Ask me a question and see if I can answer it. Number 5, interactive games. This can also go along with trivia. Maybe you can use Kahoot to do a trivia game and share your scores. See who gets on the top podium. Nearpod is the one that I really love. You can create a Nearpod lesson that's only 1 slide or 2 slides that's just the game. So I like to use their time to climb game. I'll use the matching cards game. So there's like a matching pairs game, all kinds of things. So if you want to use games like that, Padlet and things like the different websites, these are some of the resources I like: Nearpod, Padlet, Kahoot, Quizlet, and Jamboard. Of course, there's so many others. Make sure to check Outschool's policy on third-party apps. There are some websites that are not compatible with the Outschool Child Internet Protection Laws, which is COPPA compliancy. So make sure to read through our class policies there. But these are 5 that are approved third-party apps as of 2022. So feel free to use these in your flex classes. So quiet classrooms, not a problem. We are prepared, right? We are personalizing our feedback. I would say that's like almost half of what I do in the classroom, is just making sure I'm like responding to everything, right? Now, if there's not as much to respond to, that's where the discussion prompts come in. I would say a good 30% or so is me prompting discussions. What do you all think about this? Or you guys are awfully quiet right now. What can we talk about? So throw those in there. Extra activities and icebreakers. I would say that, I throw these in as needed, but I do like the icebreakers to be there, right? So I schedule those in with my posts every week. So I have my weekly post, week 1 post, and then on Thursday or Friday, check in, how's everybody doing? Maybe throw in that icebreaker. What's your favorite candy? Who's your favorite Pokemon? Do you like sushi? Extra activities like scavenger hunts and things like that. It's up to you if you want to throw those in. But again, if you can get those students to do it, if they respond to you, run with it, run with it, because it's so much more fun. I can't tell you how much more I enjoy flex classes when students are engaging. And if we really get them into the idea, and get used to this idea that flex classes are engaging, that they're interactive, that you have the ability to take over the classroom, right? If we give them that empowerment, then they're going to carry that to their next flex class and their next live classes, maybe even. So we really want our learners to really embrace the challenge of, taking ownership in this classroom. You're part of this class. It's not just me giving you information. This is our class together. Pro tip, again, respond to class comments within 1 business day and encourage peer-to-peer interactions. This is going to be the deal breaker for some. When we're thinking about how much to charge for our classes, we're really thinking of like the value here. And if that interaction is built in, that's a huge value to the parent. So we're going to talk about marketing your flex classes next. Obviously, you want to pay attention to your title and your summary. Use search engine optimization strategies. Try to put in as many keywords as you possibly can. For example, this is one of my flex classes on unschooling. And this one is actually a flex class with a live option. So I have an optional live section that they can attend as well, which is, again, optional. But if they want to attend a live class to socialize with each other, which is super fun, if they've been chatting in the classroom, well, then on Friday, we're going to have like a half hour or an hour. We're going to play Kahoot and just kind of chat with each other about what we did this week. So that's optional and it's included in the price. The thumbnail is important. This picture is going to show up in marketing, like on advertising on social media, Facebook and Instagram. It's also going to be what they're going to see as they're scrolling through the search results. So as they're scrolling, they see that picture and that might draw them to that class. I do have a class video. As you can see, this has a video that explains my flex class. So in this one, I'm talking to the parents, but you can also make a separate video for your learners. So when they're browsing through the learner dashboard, they can see the video for learners. I try to do in the video a weekly breakdown and details about me, why why I'm teaching this class. So week number 1, we're going to do this, week number 2. And for some of my sewing courses, I like to go over supplies. This is what we're going to make. And so you have to make sure you have this kind of fabric or whatever. But try to keep that class video small and short, only 30 seconds to 90 seconds. So it really kind of depends on what class I'm doing. But try to see if you can, at first glance, give them the best impression of what this class is. Now, as far as pricing goes, how long are your videos each week? Now, if we're thinking about the value of a class that has a lot of interaction and engagement. Now, because my classes have the same amount of engagement as my live classes, I price them the same way. But if this class didn't have any of those extra bubbles and wonderful things, then I would go ahead and lower the price. And so you can really see that as parents are scrolling through, they'll see this class that has, okay, we're going to go over 4 fabulous female poets every week. But while they're reading my description, they're noticing that I have all these extra activities like the scavenger hunt, the trivia game. I have like different assignments for them besides the painting. They're assigned to like comment on another learner's painting too and find something that they like about it. So, all of these things are extra. And as I'm scrolling as a parent through, I'll notice that there are some flex classes where they are not as interactive, and so the video is only like 10 minutes a week or so, for those little ones, and there's not any extra activities. Well, that particular flex class is super cheap, but that actually makes sense, right? It makes sense why that flex classes are only like $10 for all 4 weeks, and you're like, what? That's super cheap. But then we realize that the videos are super short and there's no extra activities. Oh, that kind of makes sense. And you feel like that's comparable, like that price is reasonable. But in my case, in my flex classes, I choose to charge the same amount that I charge for my live classes because I am, expecting them to have the same level of interaction there. So how long are your videos each week? Again, my hour-long classes are usually $12. Right now, that's usually what I charge for my hour-long or 55-minute classes there. So I charge $12 an hour on Outschool, and that's what I charge $12 a week for my flex classes. Consider too that they do have permanent access to extra materials such as printable slides, books, media. Whatever you provide in the classroom, they will have access to that indefinitely, which includes your YouTube videos as long as you don't change the link. So if you move your video to a different playlist or something, that might change the actual video link, or if you remove the video and then re-upload it, that would give it a different link. So now that link that you provided in the classroom is broken. But as long as you don't do that, then they have access to those videos for as long as they need them, basically indefinitely. The Outschool classroom closes to new comments after 60 days. After 30 days, 30 days after the class ends. So if your class ended on a specific date, 30 days after that, it's going to close to new comments. But even after that 30-day period, they still have access to the classroom. The classroom itself is going to move to their transcripts page, but they can still access all the links, all the materials, the attachments, pictures, videos, whatever. So keep that in mind. If you are providing them printable materials and things like that, then you might want to consider that and factor that into the price. All right, oops. So we already went over this one. There we go, wrong way. So make it an epic experience. Make sure that it is empowering, passion-driven, intentional, and connected. That's what an epic Outschool teacher is, right? So I think about that with my flex classes. When my students are showing me ownership in that classroom, when they are commenting, they're commenting to each other. I just had a learner tag another learner to compliment her on her tote bag that she made. And I just feel so proud because that tells me that my learners feel like this is their classroom. When they are watching my video, they can tell Miss Astrid is like one of these kooky people that absolutely loves talking about poetry, right? I am so excited to talk about it. I'm smiling, I'm like super happy. So when they're responding to me in the classroom, I'm like, that is amazing. You are so cool, right? And so I really want them to see my passion, that I love talking about these poets. I love talking about art history. Let's talk about it some more. What else do you want to talk about? So I want them to get that impression through the video, right? Through all of my interactions in that classroom. My classes are intentional. I have specific learning goals. We definitely want to learn about this poet. We want to learn everything about this person, right? But it's very clear from my class listing what we're going to be doing. This week, we're going to do this, and this assignment is this way. And I expect you, and well, I'm really encouraging you to, but what I expect, and I make this very clear in my first intro video, for all of my flex classes, I really hope that you will chat in the classroom. And I let them know I expect that kind of interaction. I look forward to it, and I will encourage it throughout the class. So my intent is for this to be a space where we can talk and chat and share pictures. If you got a new puppy, show me. I want to see the puppy, right? So my intent is clear. This is 4 weeks that we have together to talk about poetry and art, or 6 weeks to sew a project. Each week we're going to sew this, and I want you to feel comfortable with your sewing machine. So you tell me if you need help. If your bobbin is super tangled and you need help with this, I will jump on Zoom with you and I will troubleshoot your machine with you if you need to, or make me a video. So intentional teaching has to do with forming your classroom with learning goals in mind and achieving those. But as the class starts, flowing and going, you might adjust how you do that in order to reach that goal. So in a flex class, it's really important to have that communication. And of course, I want my students to feel connected. As I mentioned, that's an expectation that I have from my students. And I make that clear in that first intro video. Welcome to week 1. My name is Miss Astrid. And this is what we're going to do for the class. Now, here's what I want from you. I am super excited when you share comments in the classroom. You can make videos. Here's how to do it. I even show them, I screen share. Here's the classroom. Do you see this little paper clip? Click on that and you'll notice that there's a video button, blah, blah, blah. And I explain to them how to do that. So make sure that your kids are feeling connected, whether it's asynchronously, through comments, or maybe through the videos, or maybe even setting up an optional live meeting. All right, so here's some of my contact information. You can also reach me here in the comment section on YouTube, but you can reach out to me if you're a teacher on Outschool. You can always email us at, well, email each of us, but here's mine, astrid@outschool.com. I do offer free workshops at pd.outschool.com, including workshops on marketing, creating your first class listings, and I also teach an orientation on Outschool. So if you're a brand new teacher, make sure to check that out. On Facebook, I'm one of our moderators and admins for the Outschool Teacher Hub, the new and future Outschool teachers, and our various new educator cohorts. So you can always find me on Facebook in any of these groups. You can tag me anytime you want, and I'm there ready to help you however I can. On YouTube, my channel is Mossflower Academy, and I look forward to hearing from you. If you do have questions, you can ask me anything. This is typically the time for live Q&A, but obviously this is a recorded session. But if you have questions about your flex classes, maybe you have an idea, but you're not sure like how to make it work, like what should I do? Definitely share it below in the comments. I will respond to you. Also, you can email me, as mentioned, or find me on Facebook. I love talking about flex classes and making them work for you. My kids love taking flex classes. I love them as a parent, especially during the summer where our schedule is so hectic and crazy. It can be difficult to schedule the live times. I find that we end up missing classes because, dad decided we should go kayaking at the last second, or someone has a last minute play date that I forgot about. So we're often busy, but flex classes are always there. And my son really loves checking into the classroom and seeing what's new. So make your classes exciting. Make your flex classes engaging. Really take advantage of that time that you have with your learners. Enjoy them, encourage them, and have fun. All right, well, I hope this was helpful to you. Let me know in the comments if you do have any questions or if there's anything else you want to know about flex classes. Stay tuned for more and check out our Outschool Ed-Venture. It's going on right now. Well, today is the last day, but we do have them recorded at pd.outschool.com. So we'd love to have you check out the recordings as well. All right, well, have a great rest of the day and happy teaching. Bye.